Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel. I am just about now a type-rated A330 pilot, and today let's do a little bit of a challenge. We're sitting here in the toeless A340-600 at Munich airport. We are going to fly to Madrid, and I am sure that there will be absolutely no events happening on this flight, except for maybe new failure like every other minute. Let's quickly run into the toeless screen and set those failures up. So we go for fault scenario, random faults, and we'll take them down to like 1000. I'll just about switch that off for a moment because I don't want my airplane to get failed completely while we're still sitting at the gate, so we'll have to take it from here. Okay, apart from that, let's quickly go for some payload settings. We'll take 399 passengers with a little bit of cargo over there, and that should be about it. Refueling we'll do in real time in just about a moment. Okay, so that's our payload, that's our situation that we are currently sitting in, and now I would say it is about time to go right into the cockpit and get this airplane powered up. Alright, so I'm taking your bets, guys, on what kind of failures the airplane is going to throw at us. For sure, that is going to become pretty interesting. And in the meantime, I would say it is about time to get our airplane prepared for its departure. So, also taking your bets, by the way, if we're going to make it to Madrid or not. Personally, I would say that we will probably run into... I say we make it. I say we make it all the way to Madrid. I am absolutely sure we will. Okay, in the meantime though, let's go ahead with our flight deck setup. So we start with a preliminary cockpit preparation. That is, all engine masters down here are turned off. The engine start selector in norm. Weather radar is off and predictive wind shear system is off. Landing gear lever down, and we've got the wiper selectors off. Okay, from there we quickly check all three batteries, making sure they're above 25.5 volts, which they are indeed. So we can switch the batteries on, and since we have external power available, we are going to use that as well. Okay then, RMPs are switched on, then we can run the APU fire test. We've got the light and the agent. Perfect. And with external power available, we can put the IR mode selectors into nav. Alright, perfect. Then let's set the lights as we need them, and I'm actually going to keep the lights all on because it does get rather dark here in X-Plane eventually. And even though I'm using a mod with a slightly brighter cockpit texture already, it still can get pretty dark when you're flying across the clouds. Okay then, time to have a look into our electronic flight bag. So let's start with our flight plan, and we are going today from Munich to Madrid. Down here it is. And then let's have a very quick look into the forecast to decide on our fuel quantity. So Barcelona's got a MUC-MAD with severe mountain waves up to 380. Should be flying through that. And looking into Madrid, the weather is pretty good down there for a runway 32 operation. Okay then, alternate Valencia is looking very good as well. And please guys, no comments on a certain airline and Madrid and Valencia down here. We will certainly carry enough fuel. And talking about enough fuel, we've got 25 tons planned takeoff, a ton for taxi, so 26 tons roundabout. And I would say that is plenty of fuel to take for us today. So let's go with 25 tons. Let's quickly call up the refueler. 25, no, we said 26, did we? Yeah, we did, 26 tons. Okay, perfect. So, request refueling, please. One more check to do, and that is our weight. The planned zero fuel weight, 229 tons, and we now have 236.2. Okay, that's a little bit much. So how about we reduce our cargo a bit? Let's go with like something like that. Load that up, please. Reset 230.1. That should be about good enough, should it? Tiny bit more, but that is totally fine. Okay, cool. Then let's go ahead and grab the charts we need. And yes, in the Airbus you indeed do all of that before you even start setting up the airplane. So let's get some airport charts, and we'll go for the airport chart. Actually, you know what? We don't need the airport chart, but we do need the taxi chart. We need the airport info chart, and then the parking stands east. And then a quick check on the SID we are going to fly. Mercy for Quebec. Oh god, have mercy today. So let's grab that as well. So, departure, and we have somewhere down here an ANAV chart, I do hope. Mercy for Quebec, here it is. Perfect. So, that's it. Then finally, takeoff. Let's quickly compute that. We are in Munich. Runway 08 right. Let's not go for the intersection quite yet. In terms of the weather, what do we have here? Well, we can basically take this, but it is a wet runway. Anti-ice off and compute. Okay, let's take config 2. I don't want to go config 1 over here. Indeed, the one A340-600 operator I know actually always takes config 3 for the takeoffs in order to increase tail clearance, but we'll have a look into that a bit later. Okay then, very good. Then let's go ahead with the airplane acceptance. So, press the recall button for 3 seconds. That recalls anything that was previously stored. Then logbook and meld CDL items. Well, believe it or not, we currently do not have anything on the MEL, technically. We have a perfectly fine aircraft. Whoever wants to believe it. And pouring water. Am I not supposed to fly from Frankfurt? Yeah, I was meant to, but X-Plane decided Frankfurt is a bad idea. In terms of that, it simply decided, well, let's go ahead and kill my performance down there. So I basically, when I loaded it up, I had like 2 or 3 frames. And that was reason enough for me not to fiddle with it prior to a live stream, but simply change to another location, and for that reason we are sitting in Munich now. I'm going to amend the title of the live stream in a few moments. Okay, so we've got oxygen 1850 psi, hydraulic quantity is sufficient, and the engine oil quantity is sufficient up here as well. And then we can have a quick look into the flaps. They're retracted, match in the lever. The speed brakes are showing retracted. We should have chocks in position. Yes, we do. So, park and brake off. Let's quickly check the alternate brakes. And they're working. Sufficient brake pressure remaining as well. Okay. Park and brakes on. Alright. So, that is actually not too much of brake pressure remaining there. So, ground cockpit. Go ahead, please. So, can we pressurize the hydraulics? Yes, sir, it can pressurize. Okay, so, blue, electric, on. We'll take that on for a moment as it is going to recharge the brake accumulator here. Here we go. It's coming up. Perfect. It was just a little bit too close to the amber range for my taste. But always beware, if you're pressurizing a hydraulic system, you need to call the ground guys, because they need to make sure that nobody is close to the landing gear doors and stuff like that. Okay then, let's go ahead and initialize our flight. So, flight init, yes please, data link, uplink in progress, and like that the pilot monitoring can now go out and the pilot flying is going to start the cockpit preparation. I will have a little bit more detailed tutorial on the entire cockpit preparation up very soon, by the way. The videos are somewhat in the making. I just need to do a little bit of last editing, and then I'll have that kind of stuff available for the long-haul Airbuses. Okay then. I'm sure in the meantime though you have seen a lot of my videos on the short-haul Airbuses, and rest assured it's not too different. Alright, so all 3 batteries are charging, and then we can go ahead and extinguish any white light. So when you do this, it's quite important that you actually turn the main pumps on before the standby pumps, so that the standby pump doesn't start to run. Pretty much like this. Okay, fire check is working as well, perfect. And then we can go down here, so let's go ahead and grab the latest weather real quick. So, I want the latest METARs, please. In real life we always request the forecast, because it gives you the ATIS, the METAR, and the actual forecast. But that is a little bit of That's a little bit off thing there. In real life, obviously, we simply print the stuff out, making our life a lot easier than if we just have to watch it on the small screens we have down here. So, gonna receive messages then. Munich. Weather at the moment, 030 with 8. Yeah, some broom, some clouds. 15 degrees, 1008. So, not the exact perfect weather, but fair enough to go flying. Pretty important thing, by the way, in the Airbuses, the clock has to be set to GPS, and we always check the date as well to make sure that this is correct. If this is not set correctly, the computers can refuse to work because they might think that they're outside of a valid maintenance interval. Indeed, when you think about the recent mishap of the flight of the German... Which ministry was it again? I don't remember. I believe the German Foreign Ministry. They got stuck in Abu Dhabi because their flap and slat computer refused to retract the flaps. And there is a rumor that it was because the date was not set correctly, and so the computer thought it was out of hours and outside of check, and therefore just said, nah, I'm not going to work today. Now, if that is true or not, I really don't know. It would really surprise me if the plane was that susceptible. But in the end, if there is a note in the AFCOM, as there is, saying like, hey guys, be absolutely sure that's set correctly, otherwise you might encounter flap problems, then I'm thinking like, yeah, that sounds about like what has possibly happened there. Okay, yellow system is working, as you can see, even though all the yellow pumps are turned off. So what we can figure from this is that they are probably moving the cargo doors at the moment. Okay then, let's go on with the remainder of our pages. So it looks pretty hot in here. Let's go ahead and turn on the APU. I'm sure we're gonna sweat enough today, but we just about want to be on the safe side. Okay, so APU is starting up. And Force 59, hi there. Great to see you streaming again. Yeah, I've been missing it as well. I just really couldn't find the time, to be honest. Alright, cargo doors are closing, as we just said from the hydraulic page. Yeah, I just really couldn't find the time for too much streaming these days, because it is just too much flying. I just came back from the US a day ago, going back to the US tomorrow again. So, yeah, you figure. Okay then, let's go ahead and start with a pedestal. Can turn the multi-scan and the ground clouder suppression on, tilt like 5 degrees up. And that should be in the norm position here. Okay, and that is about it. Okay, cool. Then let's start with our flight in it. You can see the plane has basically uplinked everything already. I'm just changing a little of stuff around, like our alternate used to be Valencia. We'll take that. Passenger number is correct, 25 cost index, cruise level 380. The winds we are going to uplink in a few moments. So let's start with this. Runway 08 right, Mercy for Quebec departure. And interesting, that belongs to 08 left it seems. Well, then we're gonna take the 4 Echo. Mercy 4 Echo then. Okay, and over in Madrid we'll take the Wireless Whiskey 32 right. And then I believe we're coming in via Barnev, but let us cross-check that real quick. No, we're coming via Terza. Terza 3 Zulu arrival onto 32 right. Okay, sounds good enough for me. Here we go, Terza 3 Zulu. And for the via, let's quickly check on our colleagues' FMS. So, via Rugby or via Yahoo? Do we have any of those? Yeah, we have Rugby. Perfect, then that's what we'll take. Okay, secondary flight plan. Let's go ahead and program our engine out. So we're taking off 08 right. That's going to be the Munich X2 point. And that is going to be Munich 08 right /080 and 25 miles ahead. So place bearing distance, here we go, store, and now it's automatically in the flight plan. Okay, alright, then, by the way guys, I'm going to answer your questions a little bit later there. If we find the time, that is, but I am quite sure we will. Okay, so secondary flight plan, new destination is going to take us right back towards Munich. ILS 08 right. That insert prompt shouldn't show up, by the way, that's a bug. Okay then, fix info. Munich 08 right. Let's draw an extended center line down here. like that, and then we're also going to insert the engine out point, Munich X2, over here. So now we've got both the FMS on the route number 1 ready, and the what was I about to say? Fix info page as well. Obviously we could prepare the other departure runway as well, but we'll go with the engine out today. Okay, so quite important thing here, pilot routes, and we are going to delete that stuff. So store active, and over here we now got our entire route of flight, and we would normally use this and cross-check it against the flight plan route from our OFP over here. So this is something that we do on every single flight to make sure that the uplink from the flight plan is correct, because keep in mind, the uplink is also only stuff that a human inserted somewhere, so anything a human inserts has the chance to be wrong, and therefore we cross-check all of that. Okay, so let's go ahead with the weights. We got 230.2 and the zero fuel weight CG24. So 230.2/24, and for the fuel we've got 26 tons on board, which is plenty for our flight. Okay then, takeoff performance, Munich 08 right. Now the only thing that I quickly want to go over is the intersection departure. Now you will notice, in real life you can select your intersection over here. So if you're on the runway prompt, it'll tell you stuff like 08 right, Bravo 2, Bravo 4, and so on. Unfortunately, the TOLIS doesn't do that, so we have to find out the intersection takeoff distance ourselves, and we can easily do that from the charts. So if we have a look down here, we are on 08 right. Now, I don't want to shorten the runway too much, so let's take a Bravo 4 departure. So if we look at the additional runway information chart over here, onto 08 right, the full length is 4,000 meter, and from Bravo 4 it's 2,840. So that's 1,160 meters for the intersection takeoff. So let's go ahead and insert that in here, like so, compute, and now we've got the latest data available. Okay, so flex 2, 69 degrees, and an up trim of 3.8 units. So 2/3.8 up, and I set a flex temperature of, that is 69 degrees. I like that one. Okay, so remember in the wide body Airbuses you need a foxtrot in front of it. So F69, and then our takeoff speeds are going to be 139, 147, 155. So 139, 147, and 155. Okay then, last thing is going to be the acceleration, and we'll fly noise abatement procedure number 2. So that's 2,500, 2,500, and for the engine out acceleration we'll take 3,000. Okay, final thing there on the next phase, we could pre-select the speed, but managed is 230, the clean speed is 222, so we don't actually need that. In the A330 we would enter a climb D-rate over here as well, but we don't have any of that available in the A340, so that is totally fine. Okay then, with that we are pretty much prepared. The last thing we need to do is to cross-check all the data, and then we can start our briefing. So, gonna climb to 70, and then QNH is in. So let's quickly cross-check that stuff. The Airbus briefing is quite an interesting one, I have to say, but it's actually so much nicer than the Boeing briefing. Okay, so runway 08 right, 1900 feet, Delta Mike 081. So in here we've got 1900, Delta Mike 081. Then we go towards Alonu, 230 knots maximum, and Lakol. So I've got Alonu, 230 knots, and Lakol, and from there on we proceed via Obaxa to Mersey with a maximum of 250 knots. So in here we've got Obaxa, Mersey, and speed 250, as you can see up there. If you want to make checking all those constraints a bit easier, simply use the plan mode. So if you go through it like this, you are also going to see all your constraints. Alright, so with that our flight plan is checked, and now we can go ahead with the departure briefing. So this is normally going to be led by the pilot monitoring, so I'm going to start the briefing from the right hand seat there, and I'm also quickly going to turn on the APU bleed. The APU is running for more than long enough now. Okay, takeoff runway 08 right on the Mersey for Echo departure, and we are climbing to flight level 70, MSA 3700, extra fuel and time. Well, this shows as negative, but I don't quite believe that. On the ground it can be quite incorrect, but let's do a wind uplink, see what's gonna happen now. Still negative, but again, I don't believe that. These things do change in flight as well. One of the first things I noticed there, how incorrect the predictions can be on long haul. Okay, so no hotspots for the planned taxi. Stop margin for rejected takeoff is just about 154 meters. Engine outset straight at 25 miles, Munich X2. Immediate return. So let's have a quick look into the weight and balance. The maximum landing weight for a plane is 259 tons. We're at 256.2, so we are good for an immediate return should we need to do it. Special operations? I do not see any specials today. So, what kind of threats do you have for the departure? Well, none. I do agree. Departure briefing complete. Let's go ahead with the cockpit preparation checklist. Gear pins and covers removed. Fuel quantity. That's 25,940 kilograms. Balanced. Seatbelts on. ADIRS. Naving and barrel rev. QNH 1008. Cockpit preparation checklist complete. Alright, so that's about everything we need to do over here, so we can now go ahead and prepare the airplane for pushback. So let's get better pushback to do a little bit of work there. Pre-plan that for me, please. By the way, I really wish we had something like better pushback available in Microsoft Flight Simulator. That's such a great tool.
On to cockpit. Plan acknowledged. Call me through menu when you're ready.
Alright, so we're about getting ready. Let's call them up straight away, as they do take a little bit of time as well. Okay, so external power can go, airflow norm is good. Then let's go ahead and the parking brake is set. Let's get rid of all the ground equipment. Like that, the doors are all closed. That is just about perfect. Alright, very cool. Then let's run the before start checklist. Park and brake. Set. Takeoff speeds and thrust. So we have 139, 147, 155, flex 69. Windows. Closed. Beacon on. Before start checklist complete.
Okay. All doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect. Set parking brake.
Okay, parking brake is set. You're clear to lift the airplane and advise when you are ready to go. So quite nice to see down here on the taxi cam that they're actually driving up right now. You could see this, the lifting part of the tug just went to the sides and now it's going to lift us up in a few moments. That's really cool, isn't it? I totally like that. And Kemal, am I on the beta? No, I'm not. Honestly, there would have been a couple of very interesting beta offers these days, like Phoenix, like Tolis, but first of all, if I want to make videos for the public, then I can't use beta versions for that. And secondly, if I join a beta, I want to be able to do it properly, and I just don't have the time for that. Okay, parking brake released, clear to push, facing south.
Starting pushback, and you may start the engine.
Roger. Okay, he gave us engine start clearance straight away, so let's go ahead with our engine start, because it does take a little bit of time in the A340, because we need to start them one by one. Okay, so no more axis shown, starting engine 1. And pouring water. Am I doing this on VATSIM? No, I'm not. And the reason for that is that on VATSIM you're not allowed to do emergencies if you're not under ATC coverage. And as at the moment there simply is no ATC available, most certainly not for the entire route, then for that reason we simply cannot do emergencies on VATSIM. And IHS 3R, I think you can do dual start in the Tolis. Yes, technically you can. Technically the airplane is able to do that. However, you are simply not allowed to. So the flight crew technique manual and the flight crew operating manual do not allow it. Hey Madeline, nice to see you. Okay, start valve is closed down there, so we've got a good start number 1. Let's start number 2. And as I mentioned, this is going to take a little bit of time right now. The good thing is the engine start in the Airbus is totally automated, so technically speaking, you don't even need to monitor it. You can simply go out here and enjoy watching or whatever you'd like to do. Okay, so we should roughly have a good start on engine number 2 by now. Nope, not yet. They just take so long to start up. Man, it's incredible. And WTFI, yeah, originally I intended to fly from Frankfurt, but my frame rate over there was just so incredibly bad that I simply opted to go for Munich instead. Okay, so that is a good start on engine number 2. Let's start number 3. Okay, parking brake set, prepare the airplane for taxi and step by. Oh man, Totorito, imagine starting 4 PW geared turbofans one by one. You'd be starting up for next week. Oh yes. Tom's trouble, engine 2 first as it pressurizes the blue system for parking brake. That's actually a pretty good point down there, Tom. Obviously in the A330 the blue system is supplied by engine number 1, that's why I just went left to right. But you're right about it, you're right. In the 340 it's actually the engine number 2 that pressurizes the blue system, as you can see here, so it does make sense what you say down there. And Totoro, nice to see you over here. Can't wait to take the next couple of videos, if only I could really find the time. Okay, number 3 is available, let's start engine number 4. And look at that, the airplane trims itself automatically. This is something that the long-haul Airbuses do, that the 320 family doesn't do. On the long-haul Airbuses, they set the trim themselves. However, that is not exactly accurate. Like you can see right now, we've calculated an up trim of 3.8 units and the plane went rather to like 3.2 or so, and that is a little bit off, so we need to correct that ourselves. So let's go 26.7 or 3.8 units, which is more like over here. So you still need to check it. The plane doesn't do it perfectly, but it does do it in quite a good way. Okay then, number 4 should be almost available. For sure it's reached the self-sustaining speed, so disconnect and go to hand signals, please. And here we go, number 4 is avail. So, engine starter off, we don't need any eyes, so APU off, master off. And then on the pilot monitoring side... Okay. So they're working down there to get the top removed. Okay, thank you very much. You're clear to disconnect. See you on the right hand side with a pin and have an excellent day. And lemon to go. Is it off sometimes on the real aircraft too? Yes, always. Really always. It gets close, but it's not perfect. Sure enough, it's safe for takeoff. And ODG John, so it trims to a ballpark figure. To be honest, I can't tell you exactly what it trims to, but yeah, it roughly seems like it. I'm sure there's some sensors involved in that and stuff. It's an Airbus after all, but yeah. Okay, after start checklist. Anti-ice, off, ecam status, checked, pitch trim, 26.7%, radar trim, neutral, after start checklist complete. Okay, flight control track. Full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, rudder, full left, full right, neutral. By the way, don't do the rudder check that quickly, you more do it like in this speed in the real plane, because when the rudder reaches the outer part of its range of travel and you really kick it in there, then you really hear big clonk in the back of the airplane. And Daniel, do we have a taxi camera in the A330? No, unfortunately we don't. But I can tell you first-hand experience that a taxi is really nice. Finally, I am allowed to taxi an airplane. In the 737 we didn't have a tiller on the FO side, so yeah. Alright then. So for taxi, we are standing right over here, so it's gonna be straight at Sierra 7, Sierra, and then probably Bravo 4. Okay, clear left side, clear right side. So, turn on the lights, and off we go. So, you can see the plane starts rolling all by itself, and that's quite a funny thing. In the A330, you can do the complete taxi without adding thrust a single time. It's got such a high idle thrust, especially after landing. When you're heavy before takeoff, like 220, 230 tons, you need a bit of thrust to get it rolling to like 8 knots, then go to idle and it rolls. After landing though, even for that, I'm sure you guys know Frankfurt Airport. So, you know that little bridge down there if you land on the northern runway. And you know how it goes uphill over there. Well, guess what? You don't need any thrust to get up there. Okay, brake check. Pressure 0. Now you might be wondering, why are we looking for pressure 0 actually? The reason for that is that we want to ensure that the brake system has switched over from the blue system, which is the alternate brakes, to the green system, which is the primary. And the brake pressure indicator shows you the alternate brake pressure, so the blue system. That's the reason why you see the parking brake over there, because that actually comes from there. And we do the brake check in order, well, not to make sure that the brakes are working, because if they weren't we would get a warning about it, but we do it in order to make sure that the system is actually transitioned. And Metal Eye, is shutting down the engines during taxi in the A340 a thing? Yes, it is. By the way, talk about taxi. Have a look into how much I need to oversteer the cockpit, and now watch it on the taxi cam. I'm actually to the right of the center line over here with my main gears. That's quite impressive, isn't it? The oversteering technique is really insane in the A340. I thought it was a lot in the 330 already, but compared to the 340, man. Lovely airplane. That's really what I have to say. Okay then. Let's add a little bit of thrust just to accelerate a bit faster. In real life you could just let it go on idle. But I just want to accelerate a little bit. Let's use like 30% N1, that's normally good value, in order to get the thing rolling. And Force 59, no, we don't have taxi cam in the A330. It's really only a thing for the 340-600 because it is so incredibly long. Okay, so takeoff briefing. I don't have any updates to the previous briefing. We'll keep everything exactly as it was. And that, by the way, is a trigger for the PM to start the flow. Okay. Don't have the cabin ready signal yet. Let's give them a quick ding. See what they're up to. Okay, here we go. Cabin ready. Okay, taxi checklist. So, flight controls. Checked. Flap setting. Config 2. Radar and predictive wind shear. On and auto. Engine starts. Norm. Ecam memo. Takeoff. No blue. Taxi checklist complete. Okay, so things will probably go a little bit fast by the time we line up, so let's go ahead and quickly have a look into the failure setup. So, open my SCS, fault scenarios. I'll flick this on by the time we line up on the runway, and it's going to give us a failure like every 2 or 3 minutes. So, in total the plane supports something like, I believe, 239 or 237 different failures. We're flying for about 2 hours, so we're going to experience about a quarter of them. Now, knowing my luck, it's either going to be all 6 displays that are going to fail, or it's going to be all 4 engines right after takeoff. Don't know about it yet, but it's going to be one of the two. Alright, so I'll flick this on just about when we line up. And that should be interesting. I have to say I'm a little bit worried about it, because if I'm totally honest, I just about passed my type rating. That means I'm competent to fly the airplane, but obviously I don't have the experience with the airplane yet. By now I have like 40 hours or something the likes on the A340. Sorry, on the A330 it is. So not even an A340. So things are a bit different. Obviously for this stream I prepared all my A330 manuals and the QRH and stuff like that. So that is what we'll be working off. So a couple things will be a little bit different. So there's 3 things that I hope that are not going to happen, but I'm fairly sure we are going to see one of them. The first is an airspeed unreliable scenario, and that is for the simple reason that I don't have an airspeed unreliable table for the A340-600, so we'll somewhat have to do that based on good judgment if it does happen. The other one is a dual hydraulic failure, and the third is an emergency electric configuration. That is the things that I'm a little bit afraid of that we might encounter, because they really require 2 pilots to manage those failures, and when we're sitting there alone with just me flying this, then obviously that is going to make things challenging. However, let's see what's going to happen. It is surely going to be a challenge. Okay, so this is Bravo 4, let's go into here. And now have a look into how far I need to oversteer with the cockpit. So have a look at the taxi cam where my main wheels are. The goal is to keep the main wheels on the line over here. So look at where my cockpit is going. So we are about now. And look at that oversteering. Just look at that. And now look on here. We are right on the center line by doing this. It's amazing, isn't it? This is really a huge airplane. Okay, so let's take the turn over here slowly. You can see I'm still trying to keep the mains on the center line, which means I need to oversteer on the nose wheel, as you can see on the taxi camera there. Really handy tool. The 330 isn't as big as the 340, so for that reason, in the 330 we don't need the taxi cam. But it is really a nice tool. Okay then, so, cabin crew, prepare for departure. Clear left side. Clear right side. Lineup checklist. Takeoff runway, that's 08 right from Bravo 4. TCAS, TARA. And packs 1 and 2 off. Lineup checklist complete. Okay, so let's line it up and then let's enable the failures. Enable random faults. Okay, so this should be set correctly. If anybody notices that I've set it incorrectly, then do scream please. Alright, takeoff. Man flag 69. Okay, pitch trim disagree, we're gonna ignore that. SRS runway, auto thrust blue. .100 knots, checked. V1, rotate. Positive climb, gear up. Nav. Let's hand fly it a little bit. I have to say, this really feels very close to the... This really feels very close to the A330. It takes a tiny bit longer to respond, but seeing that we're at a higher weight, that absolutely makes sense to me. Thrust line climb auto thrust. Flaps 1. Speed check, flaps 1. Okay, pack one on. Let's put it on autopilot. Okay, status in-op system pack 2. Let's turn it on. Here we go. That's better. Okay, 230 knot speed limit over at Alonu, but our clean speed is 222, so we can retract the flaps. Flap 0. Speed checked. Flap 0. So that is really something that you need to keep in mind when you're flying a wide-body Airbus. Your green dot speed can be really high. Like in the 330, if we take off close to the max takeoff weight, the green dot is somewhere 245 knots. So you really need to keep in mind any speed restrictions on your SID, as they can cause quite a bit of trouble. Okay then, let's climb level 190, set standard. Standard cross-check, passing flight level 56, now. Checked. Okay, and with that we are in the air. So, random failures are on. I'm just about waiting. Oh no. Ha! Here we go. Okay. So, here we go. Auto flight, auto thrust off. Okay, with that I would say it's time for the first officer to take control. Well, maybe we can restore it, let's see. So, ECAM actions. Auto flight, auto thrust off. Yep, I've already put it back on again, so clear auto flight. Clear auto flight. NAV, IR1 fault. Attitude heading switching, captain. So, attitude heading, captain on 3. IR1, off. So, that's ADIRS, IR1, off. Okay, clear nav. Clear nav. Status. Stop ECAM. So, just about past 10,000, let's quickly do this. We'll keep the passengers seated for now. And what's it with the TCAS? Oh yeah, it's set to ATC in 1. Let's put it towards 2. Let's see if that brings back our TCAS. Nope, looks like it doesn't. Okay, then continue ECAM. Status, Cat3 single only. Inoperative systems. IR1, Cat3 dual, GPWS terrain. Remove status? Remove status. ECAM actions complete. Okay, so what kind of implications does this have on our flight? Well, basically, TCAS is inoperative, but apart from that, everything is still working as it should. So I see no problem continuing the flight for now. Obviously, if this happened in real life, we would give maintenance a call and see if they wanted the plane back on the field. So obviously, if you continue the flight like that, or if you return, is something that's really depending on the situation, depending on where you're flying. Okay, temperature is 9, it's raining a bit outside, engine anti-ice on. Then let's climb all the way to cruising level, 380. Now we've got all cruise flight level 380 blue. And Speedbird 612, can you continue without TCAS? Yes, absolutely. TCAS is a MEL item in category C, category Charlie, so you're allowed to dispatch with TCAS inoperative for 10 days. So if the TCAS fails, your airline got 10 days to repair it, and for those 10 days you're allowed to fly without the TCAS. Okay, let's take a little direct here. Let's say, Thrustmaster sounds good. Okay, insert, step deleted, that's fine. So let's have a quick look in here. Optimum is 386, cruise 380, but the 380 is only until the Swiss border. Once we're passing the Swiss border, we'll have to climb to an odd level, so let's go 390 straight away. Okay, all cruise flight level 390 blue. New cruise alt 390. Okay, secondary copy to active, and that is alright. So LEMD 3 to right. Okay, cool. So 15:46 is our arrival time. Let's see what the schedule is saying. 16:05. So we're running perfectly on time. Okay, very good. Clément, do you have to tell ATC that you do not have TCAS anymore? It is something that I would probably tell them, because our flight plan obviously lists us as being TCAS equipped, and having ATC know about that surely can't hurt. Okay, right side, new cruise out 390 as well. That's a bug, by the way. If you clear a scratchpad message on one side, I do believe it should clear on the other side as well. For sure in the A330 it does. Okay, so that was an interesting first malfunction over there with the IRS dropping out. I surely didn't expect that. By the way, talking about computers dropping out, I'm fairly sure we're going to see it happen during the remainder of the flight, but let's quickly talk about it. So in the A320 you've got a lot of circuit breakers in the back of the cockpit, which you can use to reset computers. On the long-haul Airbuses you don't have any circuit breakers in the cockpit. So the things we have over here, as the labels say, are reset switches. And these are all modeled, so that is something that I really hope to see today. If a computer drops out, you know computers. Have you turn them off and on again? The first thing every support is going to ask you. And this is exactly what you can use these switches for. So let's say the flight warning computer 1 drops out. You pull the switch, you put it back in, and then it may reset itself. Oh, here we got something again. Okay, ELEC, Gen 2 fault. Okay, flight path is assured, the plane is going where it's supposed to go. So, ECAM actions. ELEC, Gen 2 fault. Generator 2, off, then on. Okay, so, ELEC, Generator 2, off. Let's give it a little bit of time in order to reset, something like 3 seconds, then on. Okay, the message stays, so the reset was unsuccessful. Gen 2, off. So, ELEC, Gen 2, off. Clear ELEC, clear ELEC. Yeah, this is interesting. The thing should clear up there. But okay, then we've got the ELEC panel over here. Gen 2 is off. The remainder of the generators are still running normal. So that's as expected. Clear ELEC, clear ELEC. Status. Okay, stop ECAM. So let's take a quick moment. Is there any normal checklists left? No. Can we do a reset? We attempted that already as part of the ECAM procedure. And a relight is not applicable, that's only for engines, so continue ECAM. Status. Cat 3 single only, in-op systems, IR1, Cat 3 dual, generator 2, GPW as terrain. Remove status, remove status. ECAM actions complete. And something unpredictable, are you still on ignition on purpose? That is because my anti-ice is switched on, but we are clear of the clouds now, so we can switch the anti-ice off and then the ignition is going to come off automatically. Here you go, now the ignition is gone since the anti-ice is off as well. And Joash Naidu, maintenance log after landing is going to keep the engineers busy. You know what? I'm wondering if the tech log does even have sufficient pages to fill everything in. That's surely going to be interesting. Undefined, an AC generator failure is not a nice failure on a 2-engine plane. The 340 makes this a lot easier. You're absolutely right about that. But talking about AC generator failures, on the A330, you know you have your 2 engine generators, then you have the APU generator, but you also have the emergency generator on the emergency electric power panel. So the A330 actually has 4 generators available. The engines, the APU, and then the emergency generator. Now the emergency generator is powered off the green hydraulic system. So depending on the reason why the emergency generator needs to be used, it may provide either a bit more or a bit less power. So let's say the green hydraulic system is still powered by an engine-driven pump, then you can then your emergency generator is going to provide more power than if it was driven by the rat, as you can see up here. So who knows, maybe we're going to see the rat in action today. I surely hope not, but who knows. And IHS 3R, wait, so the 340 has 6 generators. Yeah, it basically does. What is interesting to know there is in the QRH there are some emergency config summaries. So you've got, for example, the dual hydraulic summary, and then you've got the emergency electric summary. But that summary chapter is based purely upon the emergency generator being supplied by the green hydraulic system, supplied through an engine-driven hydraulic pump. So, oh, and somebody says the simulator is too loud. Okay, I'm gonna turn that down a bit. Okay, here we go with the next one. Flight controls, Prim 1 fault. Prim 1. So yeah, ECAM actions. The flight path is assured. So, Prim 1 off, then on. So, let's see. Flight controls, confirm. Prim 1 confirmed. Off. By the way, something that's a bit different on the A330 and A340 from the A320 is if the system can be reset by putting the switch off and on again, you've got that little R down here next to the off. That's something that you don't have on the 320s. Okay, off then on. Let's see, the fault light stays, so that's not a good sign. Okay, if unsuccessful, seems like it is. Let's get rid of that hydraulic system, by the way. If unsuccessful, Prim 1 off. Okay, so flight controls confirmed, Prim 1 confirmed, off. Okay, clear flight controls? Clear flight controls. Okay, that should have brought up the flight control page. Well, should have looked like this now. Okay, so, flight controls. Prim 1 is inoperative, we lost 2 spoilers per wing, the rest of the system is redundantly supplied. Remove flight controls? Clear flight controls? Clear flight controls. Okay, status. And let's see, this has added the Prim 1, apart from that it's and partial spoilers. The rest is as we left it. Remove status. Okay, complete. So, Reezy Boy, what is the Prim? That's the primary flight control computer. So, you've got 3 of them in the A330 and A340. If we look at it over here, we can see we've got the Prim 1, Prim 2, and Prim 3. Any of those is able to fly the airplane normally in normal law. And then you've got your 2 secondary computers, the SAC-2 and the SAC-1. And those 5 computers basically make the flight computers of the A330 and A340. You can see it on the flight control page over here. We've got the 3 Prims, and then we've got the 2 SACs. By the way, yes, when I tried to upload a video explaining those, YouTube actually demonetized the video because I used the word SACs. Yeah, think of that, huh? Artificial intelligence or so. I'd rather call it artificial dumbness. But anyway, okay, so we've lost 1 Prim, that is a no-brainer. We have 2 others. Only if all 3 Prims are gone, then the airplane is going to go into direct law. No Name 3, can you retry turning on INOP systems after a while, or is it only allowed once directly after the failure? That depends on the actual failure you have. So basically after a while you wouldn't do anything. But if the system can be reset, then you will be directed to do so by the procedure, or there is a checklist in the quick reference handbook that's called the system reset table. And if you've got something going off where the ECAM doesn't direct you to reset it, then you can, once you're done with the ECAM actions, before you go to the status page, you'll say stop ECAM, and then you are going to have a look into the system reset table, and if there is any reset procedure available, then you can use the reset buttons you have on the back of the overhead panel up there in order to run the reset. And only if the reset is unsuccessful, you're going to continue with the status of the ECAM. And AT Aviation, are the prims equivalent to the ELACs on the A320 family? To be honest, I'm not A320 rated, so I don't know exactly what the ELACs are doing on the 320. The prims basically are the primary flight control computers, which are responsible for converting a side stick input to what the airplane is doing on the control surfaces. And BS, I always thought SAC stands for Spoiler Elevator Computer, at least in the 320. Was it all the time wrong? Well, on the 330 it's the secondary flight control computers, and they can do a lot more than just spoiler inputs. So let's assume that all three prims fail. So if we look at this again, if all the three prims drop out, then the SACs are still able to fly the airplane in direct law. So I hope that answers the question that was asked a little bit higher above, in regards to if you lose airplane controllability if all prims are gone. No, you don't. So if all three prims and the two SACs are gone, then you still have mechanical backup available. So you basically control the airplane's bank angle through the rudder, old cruise by the way. So you basically control the airplane's bank angle through the rudder and control the pitch through the elevator trim. That's the reason why you still have that large trim wheel in the Airbus cockpit. Now, in the 330 and 380, you actually don't have that anymore. In the 330 and 380, they basically have been replaced by a little switch like that one. Like the cockpit door switch or something the likes. Which makes flying a little bit more interesting there. But in the A330, A340, if all 5 flight control computers fail, then you still have the trim wheel for pitch control and the rudder for controlling your bank angle. It is possible to land the airplane off that, but nowadays that is no longer taught in the type rating, because nowadays they say that the mechanical backup is just there to keep the airplane flying temporarily while you restore the normal means of control of the airplane. I mean, you need to keep in mind, in order to lose the entire flight control system, you either have to lose all 3 hydraulics, which is very unlikely, even though it has happened on other airplane types in the past. So I know that Airbus said losing all hydraulics is pretty much impossible, and therefore we don't do too much training on it. And then came DHL. So it is certainly possible, but it is considered very, very unlikely. So you'd either have to lose all 3 hydraulic systems, or you'd have to lose all 5 independent flight control computers in order to, well, lose control over the aircraft. And even if you lost all of them, you could probably still use your engines like the DHL guys did. So losing complete control over the airplane is something that is very, very unlikely to happen. Konali, nice to see you here. Hi. On the A321 XLR, they replaced the mechanical connection to the rudder with a fully electrical one to save on weight. Yeah, on the 330 that's available as an option as well. But even if you've got the electrical option, that thing can be run from the emergency generator, so you will always have that control available. Unless the green hydraulic system is out as well, then the emergency generator isn't going to run. I'm not 100% sure if the batteries can power the rudder servos as well, but I would imagine they can. Even though flight on batteries is really something you don't want to encounter in an Airbus. but it is so incredibly unlikely. We've got so many more redundant systems available. I just don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think there has ever been a case. Alright, so did I miss any of your questions? Well, while we're waiting for the next failure... Actually, wait a moment. Why is there a black range on the cruise page? Wasn't there supposed to be something down here? Did we lose any sensors? No, they're still there. I might be a little bit, easily led into believing something is going wrong on this flight. I've got no idea why that could possibly be the case. Alright, anyway, what's interesting, by the way, look at that. We are showing 38,920 feet on the left altimeter, and we're showing 38,980 on the right one. Now this is actually not a bug, but a feature, because at altitudes like this, a small difference in the readings of the different probes is actually expected, and this can actually be a couple feet. Now, the limit is 200 feet, before which you would lose RVSM capability. We have to keep in mind we are running the captain's instruments on ADR number 3 at the moment, but I do believe this does not impact the altitude, but it does impact the speed and the attitude. So basically over here we should see the same thing as over here on the standby instrument at the moment. And No Name 3, hello Paranoia, you name it. And Toto, when you say the DHL with the hydraulic loss, do you mean the 2003 incident where the airplane was hit by a surface-to-air missile? Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. There is really a great documentary out there from a Mayday air crash investigation. I can really recommend everybody to watch that. And it was an A300, but it was a plane with 3 hydraulic systems, so in that context, that certainly fits. And Hyperion, you are getting type rated for the A330, correct? Which variant? So I am type rated by now for the A330-200 and 300. And technically speaking, on the license it says A350 as well. But that's just because it is a common type rating, not that I did any training on it. But legally speaking, I would be allowed to step into an A350 and go flying on that. By the way, we are out of all those clouds, so let's turn off the seatbelt signs down here to release our passengers. Right now we don't have any faults that would affect the safety of the flight, so we can easily continue. So, outer tank transfer in progress. That is normal. You can see when a certain amount of fuel has been reached in the wing tanks, then it's going to start automatically transferring the outside tank fuel into the main wing tanks. What's interesting as well, by the way, on the A330 and A340 is the trim tank transfer system. So when you're in cruise, the airplane is going to pump fuel from the main tanks to the trim tank in order to bring the center of gravity to a rearward limit, somewhere in the region about 36% CG, but that varies with flight situation. But let's say you've got a slight fuel imbalance, for example, because you have been using the APU for an hour on the ground and it burned like 500 kilos. Then when the aircraft starts pumping fuel to the trim tank, it is automatically going to balance fuel in the main tanks by doing so. Now, when it's doing that, it is basically going to pump fuel of the tanks that have the highest quantity at first. The same thing, however, happens on the opposite side as well. So once, let's say, a fuel imbalance develops while fuel is in the trim tank, then what's going to happen is that it's going to pump the fuel back forward into the lowest main tank first. However, it is a computer, and we all know computers and what they're up to, so those can fail. And there has actually been a case in my airline where the airplane started pumping fuel only into one of the two tanks. So it only pumped fuel, I believe, into the right side, not into the left side. Now the fuel imbalance warning in the A330 is going to come up at like 5 tons of imbalance. The pilots eventually noticed a little bit earlier when the computer had already given them an imbalance of 3.5 tons of fuel. Now that sounds a lot. For an airplane that can carry like 35 tons in the wings, it's not that much, but just having in mind that you can have an imbalance of like just under 5 tons of fuel without the computer alerting you to it is quite something. Okay, so let's get rid of that fuel page again. Here we go. So let's do a quick check of all the other systems. I'm somewhat waiting for the next failure to occur, because we haven't seen one in the last couple of minutes. But then again, we should always run over the entire system displays all the time anyway, because like that you can often detect something before the computer detects it. So let's say, for example, if an engine was to start encountering a mechanical malfunction, the computer is only going to detect it once you have a certain vibration, but a pilot who really watches their stuff would be, would be able to catch it quite a bit earlier, and then possibly be able to take reactive actions before the engine might actually start damaging itself. But that's just something, you know, when you're flying your Airbus, take a little bit of time every now and then to watch out for the default values that you would see on the eCam, just so that when you check it another day and something does not look the way it is supposed to look, you will be able to catch it much earlier than the computers might be able to catch it. And Reezy Boy, what is NAC? Haven't seen that one before. Yeah, that's something you only have in the wide-body Airbuses. It's basically the engine nacelle temperature. So if we move to the outside for a second, my apologies for it getting a bit loud. It's the temperature of the engine nacelles up here. So remember how the engine anti-ice works? It basically pumps hot air into the engine nacelles, and that way you can monitor the correct functioning of the engine anti-ice system. And Vinzi, would your airline allow to produce cockpit videos on the flights? That is a little bit disputed at the moment. So some say yes, others say no. And to be totally honest, until the time that in writing I got something from the airline that I can do it, I'm not going to do anything. And Toto, I wouldn't consider the hydraulic problem where the airplane was hit by SAM that a genuine emergency a manufacturer should be designing for. I mean, if the SAM had taken the entire tail off, you wouldn't be saying Airbus needs a redundancy for its tail. Yeah, you're right about that, Toto. However, the thing is, that A300 was just an example. Think of the United DC-10 that lost all 3 hydraulics. Think of the was it Japan Airlines 747 that went into the mountain because it lost all hydraulics? So I do agree with you that malfunction like that, where a plane is hit by a surface-to-air missile that kills all 3 hydraulics, is not something that the manufacturer should be catering for. However, I do believe that history has shown that those malfunctions can happen. And Toto, you're absolutely right, the United DC-10 did generate design changes, but it's still not totally ruled out. By the way, we haven't seen a new failure in quite a while. Let me quickly go to the Tola screen. Oh, okay, so we did lose a little bit more stuff. It's just that, what did we lose here? Fuel, inner 4, aft pump, and trim tank pump, and VHF2. Well, that's obviously all systems which aren't necessarily running, but let's see, do we get any indication of that? No. Well, obviously we don't get an indication for VHF2. Then what else did we have? We lost a fuel pump. Let's have a quick look into that. Nope. It's probably the pump that would be on standby anyway, so the plane doesn't even detect that as wrong. And the same goes for the trim tank pumps over here. It can't detect it because the pumps aren't supposed to run at the moment. Okay. And TPP Nick, which mod is this? This is the TOLIS Airbus A340-600 for X-Plane 11 and X-Plane 12. Flying in X-Plane 12 at the moment. And Victor from Denmark, are you going to change the channel name now that you aren't flying the 737NG anymore? I thought about it, but I'm not 100% sure yet. On one hand side, you know, the channel name 737NG driver just sticks with the community now, so if I change that, well, I don't know. And regarding how many frames I get, have a look down here. It's something 37, 33. There are some occasional stutters when the simulator is loading in new terrain. And my Polish friend, will you be finishing your Challenger series? Yes, I will. I just don't know exactly when yet, because I'm flying so much. I passed the type rating skill check on the 15th, and ever since I've flown 3 rotations already, and I've got another one starting tomorrow. So, I'm really flying a lot. And Villa the Dude, should I get X-Plane 11 or 12? I'm on a tight budget. I'd go for 12. 11 surely is a little bit more matured at the moment, but I wouldn't buy an outdated simulator. I'd go for the latest. And Vismi, where are you going to go tomorrow? The United States. I'm not going to go into exactly which destination because it would make it too easy to find out the operator I'm flying for. It will be the US where I'm going. Just like on my last couple of flights, I exclusively went to the United States so far. And Gene Faith, would you recommend going an actual classroom for the ATPL theory or fully distance-based learning? I would absolutely go to the classroom. Personally, I just can't learn just by reading stuff on the books. I have to talk to a teacher, I have to be able to ask questions. And for that reason, it would exclusively be classroom for me. And Totoro, nothing is ever totally ruled out. They do statistical risk analysis. Basically, they try to compute the likelihood of something bad happening. You can never design to zero risk, not with finite amounts of money. So they pick a threshold of accepted risk and design around that. With the design changes from the DC-10 crash, triple hydraulic loss has become extremely unlikely. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. It really is extremely unlikely. And for that reason, as I mentioned, you really have to have a bad day in order to lose all 3 hydraulics. And David, hi Emmanuel, are you based in Frankfurt? Yes, I am. LG Lambs, afternoon. Did it take time for you to get used to the American way of talking on the radio? No, not really. I mean, basically in Europe every country is using different phraseology as well, so, you know, flying to the US was just one more different phraseology. Couple procedures are different, so that's something that you should always go over when you actually fly there. But it's not all too bad. And Tom Troubles, could you do a video on ETOPS then? Yep, that is something I do plan to do. However, not just yet, but when I find the time. Because an ETOPS video is something that's going to be a bit more extensive. If you're interested in my live stream for the... What was it again? The donation flight back in November, I believe, where I flew the A310 across the Atlantic. Oh, there I had an actual A3 Airbus long-haul instructor who joined me on the live stream, who explained all the North Atlantic flying. So Alex, hi, how different is flying long-haul to short and medium-haul? Okay, it is quite different. But in my opinion, it is nicer. Now, Oh man, Totoro. I guess a SAM hitting a random Embraer 600 causing it to break up mid-air might technically be considered a triple hydraulic failure. Yep, you are right about that. Alright, so let's go back to the question. How different is flying long haul to flying short and medium haul? Well, in my opinion, it's more relaxed because you just have less flights to do. On the other hand side, you have quite a bit of different work to do. So on the long haul, we meet 90 minutes before off block, and we arrive at the plane 60 minutes before, start boarding 45 minutes before, and then push on time. Now, climbing the A330 up to cruise level takes time, between half an hour and 35 minutes. Even more so because we're using those derated climb procedures in the A330, and that reduces climb thrust by another 15% on an airplane that is already going pretty slow. Apart from that, once you reach cruising level, well, the first thing, long haul means doing things slowly. You taxi slower, you do all the procedures a bit slower, because you don't do them too often. I mean, we're flying about 3 to 4 trips per month. Now, many of them you fly with 3 pilots, so that means you get to do roughly 1 takeoff and landing a month. Now, obviously, in line training it is a little bit more. Like right now, I'm exclusively pilot flying, but basically once out of training you do about 1 landing a month. That means that doing all your procedures and stuff is something that you just about have to keep revising all the time, because you don't do them too often in the actual aircraft. So we just do everything a little bit slower, and then flying out to the North Atlantic, we basically get the weather, insert all our stuff, and check the waypoints. Now, checking the waypoints is something especially important. Like, you might have a waypoint in the FMS that's titled something like, I don't know, let's just insert a random waypoint here. Let's take 5340 north. Let's just insert a random waypoint just for a showcase. So if I put this in here, then we now have a waypoint that most flight simulators would assume to be 53 north, 040 west. The thing, however, is you can't be sure that it really is. It might be 5330 north. So go into the lateral revision and then you actually check the coordinates of the waypoint over here. And you do that for every single North Atlantic waypoint along your route, because ATC surveillance just isn't that sophisticated over the Atlantic, and especially with the organized track system now being a lot closer to one another, you only have half degrees of latitude now. So let's say you inserted like 53 degrees north, 040 degrees west, and then the next waypoint on the adjacent track is 5330 north, 040 west. You are not going to see that on the name of the waypoint. So you check everything very carefully, you know. In the meantime, though, IHS 3R, the ECAM is too quiet. It's pretty suspicious. Indeed it is. There is one reason why the ECAM might stay quiet. That is if both flight warning computers failed. Now, that isn't the case because it would show us that, and it would advise us to check all the system panels regularly. Would also be a lovely failure for the stream, by the way, if that happened. But let's have a quick look into the ISCS to see what kind of failures we got by now. You make that a little bit larger there. No, can't really do that. And known M3, can the ECAM itself fail? Yeah, obviously it can. Okay, so I've got no idea why we aren't getting any more failures now, but let's go ahead and reset a couple. So, delete the trim tank, delete that one, and that one. Okay, so it looks like it can only take like 7 failures. Well, that's a pity. But now we've got chances for more to come. I really thought it could take more than just 7 failures. And Tom Travels, I think there's a small limit on A340 as it hasn't updated to 20 like the other models. Really hasn't it? Man, I really thought it would. And Dabaku World, you just put out the factor by accident. Okay, let's try that once more. Now, fully to the right should be fine. This is like... fully to the right means as many faults as you can get. So that's alright. Okay, well, the next one should be coming shortly, I hope. And if no more failures come, well, then we are really just going to insert some manually. David, Emmanuel, with your experience and knowledge in the aviation universe, any tip for group assessments at German airlines? Well, most importantly, don't take any expensive courses that aim to prepare you for them, but rather just use what they make available to you. You know, like if you're going to the DLR test, then use the DLR CBTs and stuff like that. And 777 driver, hey Manuel, before I did a roster swap, I was due to fly out of London Heathrow today. Dodged a massive bullet. Oh yes. Yeah, the British have some problems today with their air traffic control service, and thus basically shut their airspace down. I'm pretty happy I'm not flying today as well. That would probably bring slots as hell. Okay, so, where's my next failure? I want something interesting to happen. And if nothing interesting happens, then we're just about going to kill an engine to have something more interesting happening ourselves. But let's see. I want to keep it on a random basis for now, because it makes things a bit more interesting than if you just go ahead and fail stuff yourself. Okay, so, fly to live. Is the DLR really that hard? 7% get it, or is it false? It's somewhat true, but you have to keep in mind that with the DLR you have lots of people applying there who are not pilots, so a lot of people who are generally not suited for the job are being ruled out over there. If you've got a pilot license already, then I tend to say it's not that hard. Okay, so, is the airplane doing something? Are we getting more malfunctions now, or is it not? Maybe if we just disable and enable the random faults again, maybe that helps. Well, let's see. And Peyton Herrick, just do double engine failure. Well, you know what? If the automatic failures are really not working anymore, then I'm really just gonna kill it. And Captain Vickers, thank you very much for the 449... Is that Japanese yen or what? Or which currency is that? In any case, thank you very much for the donation. I'm a real A320 pilot just out of line training. Have been practicing challenging approaches on the sims, scared to try other aircraft. What would you suggest? I would suggest to try as many as possible. It's going to give you a very good overview of how those aircraft work. And well, if you're an A320 pilot just out of line training, I would suggest to go with something that is not an A320. So A330 or A340 would be the obvious choice, like the Tolis A340-600, really nice plane. And if you're on another simulator, then, well, on MSFS, obviously the PMDG 737 and the Leonardo Mad Dog would be really recommendable. The Phoenix A320 is as well, but since you're saying other aircraft, I'm not counting that over here. Yeah, apart from that, what else could I recommend? There's just so many great aircraft, but in X-Plane, go for the A340, in MSFS, go for the PMDG 737 or the What is it? Leonardo Mad Dog. Oh! What did we say? Here we go. Okay, auto thrust limited. ECAM actions. So, flight path is somewhat assured. So, engines into MCT. Here we go. Okay, engine 2 failed. Engine start selector, ignition. Ignition. Thrust lever 2, idle. Okay, confirm. Thrust lever 2, confirmed. Idle. If no relight after 30 seconds. So, those 30 seconds are running. By the way, look at this. The airplane is able to maintain its speed and altitude at flight level 390. That's what I just love about the A340. It's really incredible, isn't it? Okay, so we've got no relight after 30 seconds. Engine master 2, off. Confirm. Engine master 2, confirmed. Off. If damage. Okay, let's have a look. So, we have an EPR indication. We have positive N1. EGT is at 0. N3 is rotating. Fuel flow is 0. And N2 is rotating. We do have oil quantity, but the oil pressure is rather low. So, I would say this is not an engine damage. So, if no damage, engine 2 relight, consider. Okay, well, the engine has been running at rather high thrust, so if the thing just goes out like that, and we have another 3 engines left, I'm really thinking we are not going to attempt an engine relight. For the simple reason that, in case there is some sort of damage, we might just about kill the engine. So, engine relight consider? Yeah, is considered. Clear engine 2? Clear engine 2. Okay, fuel imbalance, monitor. So at this point we'll probably take a photo of the fuel tanks, just to be sure what the current situation of that is. So in my situation I'm just taking a screenshot now. Okay, TCAS mode selector, TA. So, TCAS mode selector, TA. Okay, clear engine 2. Clear engine 2. Then air, abnormal bleed config. Cross bleed, open. Air, cross bleed. We did not have a damage. Open. Airflow, auto low. So that's air, airflow, auto, low. Forward cargo regulator, off. So that's forward cargo regulator, off. We don't have any livestock in there, so we are not killing any dogs. So that is alright. Okay. Clear air. Clear air. Okay. Land ASAP in amber. Hydraulic. So that the engine 2 pump gone. But the rest of it still working. A quick look up here. Looks normal. Okay, clear hydraulic. Clear hydraulic. So, electrics. Generator 2 IDG is offline and the IDG temperatures are right. So, as expected, clear ELEC. Clear ELEC. Status. Okay, stop ECAM. So, let's take a moment to think. Reset? No. Normal procedure? No. Relight. Well, we thought about it, but I'd rather protect the engine. We have 3 more, so no reason to do an engine relight over here. Okay, continue ECAM. Status. Approach procedure. For landing, use flap 3. Landing distance procedure apply. Fuel imbalance monitor. Slut slow. Cat 3 single only. Inoperative systems. Blue hydraulic. Partial spoilers. Reverse 2. IR1. Cat 3 dual. Engine 2 bleed. Blue engine 2 pump. Generator 2. Prim 1. Alternate brakes. GPWS terrain. Remove status. Remove status. ECAM actions complete. Okay, so let's bring this straight up again. That is actually SOP in my airline. So, let's see. Let's do a very quick foredeck. Facts. One engine out. What implications does that have? We have to land using flaps 3. We're going to need slightly more landing distance, but that is really about it. So what options do we have? Well, obviously we could continue to destination, which is Madrid, and is approximately 1 flight hour away. On the other hand side, we could obviously return to Munich, or we'd have Nice about on our left. Then there is Toulouse in the area as well that has Airbus maintenance. So there are different options available to us. Now, what the risk and benefits? Well, let's talk about our destination Madrid first. So risk and benefits. Risk? Well, we'd be flying for approximately 1 hour flight time on 3 engines. We're even able to maintain cruise level and cruising speed, so that is not that much a problem. Let's have a look though into the predictions. So it does calculate with an engine out. The Airbus is normally able to do that. And we should get an estimated fuel on board. I don't know why it doesn't do that over here. The A330 would give you one. So the A330 would be able to calculate your fuel on destination, but if it's not doing that, then let's do some mathematics. So we're using like 2.5 tons, that means 7.5 tons an hour. We'd fly to Madrid for about an hour time, meaning burning 7.5 tons, leaving us with over an hour flight time if we went for that option. Okay, benefits for going to Madrid, obviously having the passengers at their destination, so reducing costs for the company. However, returning the airplane to a maintenance base might be problematic. So other options we have available, return to our departure airport. We're about 50 minutes into the flight, so a return would certainly be possible, also with the amount of fuel that we have available right now. Risk and benefits. Well, risk, we again have to fly for approximately 1 flight hour. Now, benefits, we have maintenance, and we have the passengers in a place where we can easily transport them to destination again. Apart from that, it's a long runway and a little bit colder than it is in Madrid, so landing performance would be less of an issue as well. Other options we have available, obviously nearby we have Toulouse that we could go to, but then again we don't have any means to connect the passengers from there, and I'm not 100% sure I want to pay Airbus the money for the repairs if the company can do it itself. So, okay then, decision. I would say our best course of action is actually to return to Munich. Flying on to Madrid is possible, but the commercial aspects are just outweighing the return to Munich compared to continuing to Madrid, since our airplane would otherwise be stuck in Madrid. Alright, so let's return to Munich. Then you have control, and Tom travels. If you clear the engine out on the progress page, I think it should get the EFOP back. Yeah, it should, but then again, we have the engine out, so we would get incorrect predictions if we do that, which I don't want to do. Okay, cool. So, I would say we return to Munich. So, let's talk to ATC. Pan, Airbus 346. Engine failure, 4 engine aircraft, request diversion back towards Munich, Echo Delta Delta Mike. So they would send us initially to some sort of waypoint. But for our purposes, let's just go ahead and select the new destination. Munich. Insert. Then let's go direct to somewhere close to the field, like Oscar Tango Tango VOR Ottersberg. Okay, insert. And here we go. Starting our turn back. Now, obviously maintaining cruising level, while it is possible with 3 engines, is something that I do not necessarily want to do. You can see it tells me over here my receivable maximum altitude 382. We're actually a bit above that. So I'd say let's go ahead and descend a little bit. Let's go down to level 300 or so. So, actually I'm not going to go into idle. Let's do vertical speed. 1000 feet a minute. Mach vertical speed, alt throttle 300 blue. Okay, so, then, Daniel is suggesting, what about Barcelona? Well, obviously Barcelona is an option, but our airline doesn't have the maintenance over there, and we don't have any means to provide continuous transport for the passengers, and we would have the airplane stuck in a place where, you know, it just wouldn't help us. I mean, yeah, we could land the plane safely there. If we had to land ASAP in red, it might be something to consider. But it's just a land ASAP in amber, so we've got all the time we need to choose where we want to go. Okay. And Konali, is an engine failure on a quad actually an emergency? No, it isn't. It's a pan-pan, but as long as it isn't burning, I don't see any reason for a mayday. In fact, if you've got an engine failure on a 2-engine airplane, it is not necessarily a mayday either. Provided it is just a normal engine failure. When you start getting into fires, that's of course a different thing. Okay, cool. So, return to Munich, then let's go ahead and prepare a plan for our return. We don't need that, we don't need that. And I have a feeling we're going to taxi right to maintenance and not to the gates as well. No name 3, would cabin crew be informed about failures? Yeah, absolutely. By the time we return to another airport, we would most certainly tell cabin crew about it. But right now you can see there is just no need to rush. We've got so much time, we don't need to worry. Okay, so let's grab the latest weather. So 030 at 8 still. From 1420 Zulu, so that is still rather current. Okay. So it's going to be an ILS to runway 08 right then. Okay, ILS 08 right via Ottersberg, insert, and we're going direct Ottersberg already. So let's change the cruise level as well. We're looking for level 300. And we're going to Munich, runway 08 right. And JS2 Tango, why is the FOSND out? That's a separate failure that I simply didn't have the time to deal with yet, because I'm taking care of the more obvious thing over here first. But the FOSND is something that we'll deal with in a few moments as well. Okay, so back on our way, arriving there at 15:34, so that's in about 50 minutes time. Speed looks a little bit low to me. We can surely go a bit faster than that. Let's actually go something like Mach A2 or so, if the engines can provide that. I do believe they will be able to. Okay, then, let's grab a couple of charts. We just want to build a rough plan right now. We don't need to do anything completely exactly, since we have a flight hour to go. But I just want to fill everything out and, you know, just get things nicely prepared and set up. What I am going to do is... Oh, we still have the extended center line, that's very good. And secondary copy to active, we are going to enter runway 08 left on here. Like so. Okay, right nav. I'm not going to insert anything there yet. Progress looks good. And then performance, let's see. So that is 15 degrees, 1007 and 030 at 8. Okay then, MDA, we had that over here a moment ago, is 1686. So, according to the ecam, for landing use flaps 3, so that's what we're going to do. And BS, do you expect more failures? Well, I kinda hope for it, yes. However, I just about learned on the flight that the plane is actually limited to 7 failures at the same time, so that's a bit unfortunate. Okay then, let's do some landing performance. 08 right, all of that looks good. Let's take it wet. And landing config 3. Normally we would select our engine out on the performance tool as well. Unfortunately, we don't have that available here in the tow list, so we just got to go like that. But selecting config 3 and reverse off should more or less give me similar values to what I would expect for the engine out case as well. Okay, cool. So let's see that status again. For landing, use flap 3, landing distance procedure apply, fuel imbalance monitor. So let's have another look into the fuel imbalance. You can see number 2 is out, 2,510 kilos in there. But number 3 is still running and got the same quantity, so not 100% sure if it's transferring fuel or why exactly the quantity between number 2 and 3 is the same. That is definitely something I would not expect, but yeah. Looking into the fuel used, it looks about the same. So okay, look at that. Over here on the left side, yeah, here we go. The number 3 tank is being transferred from the outer tank. For that reason we have different fuel quantity there than in the number 2 tank. So now it makes sense. We've got more fuel on this side than we do on this side, which is quite obvious because we've got an engine less running over here. So that does make sense. Okay, so that is that. Well then, I'm pretty sure passengers would have noticed by now that we've started to turn back, so let's do a quick PA. That's always the one part that gets most interesting. Ladies and gentlemen from Flytech, this is your captain speaking. As you have probably noticed, we had a minor technical malfunction which led us to turn back towards Munich. Flight time to Munich is now approximately 1 hour and we expect to land there at a time that my computer doesn't want to calculate. Okay, no, you better don't tell the passengers that. So we'll be landing there at about 17:45 local time. Our airline is aware of the problem already and they are currently in the process of organizing a replacement aircraft that is going to get you onwards towards Madrid as quickly as possible. Once again, we do apologize for this situation, however we do take the safest course of action over here, and the safest course of action is in this case to return to Munich Airport. Thank you for your understanding, and we are going to talk to you again just prior to landing. Okay, so what's that? Master caution. Fuel, wing tank imbalance. Okay. ECAM actions. So, we've got 3 tons over here, 2.5 over there. So that's probably what it refers to. Okay, outer tank transfer manual. Does that make sense in this situation? Well, let's quickly do a bit of mathematics. We used 11,170 kilos, 14,760 on board, so that's roughly 26. That's roughly 26 tons. So I don't suspect a fuel leak. All right. Well, then outer tank transfer manual. Okay. Fuel, outer tank transfer manual. Okay, clear fuel. Clear fuel. Status. Anything new in there? No, there isn't. Okay, remove status. ECAM actions complete. So, we've basically dealt with all of this. Blue hydraulic system is completely inoperative now, which is somewhat interesting, seeing that it still has pressure. So I don't quite believe it with that blue hydraulic system inoperative. In the A330, the blue hydraulic system will still be running off the engine 1 pump. Not 100% sure about the A340. Things might be a little bit different over here. But we'll see. And Smokey, what do I think about the default A330 in X-Plane 12? Well, for a default aircraft it's good, but it's a default aircraft. I've done a more extensive review, if you're interested, that you can find on my channel. And Tom Troubles, engine is windmilling, so it's still pressurizing. That's true. I'm just surprised that even for the windmill we are getting still 3000 psi out of it. I mean, 3000 psi from a windmilling engine does sound like quite a lot. But then again, it must not necessarily be false, so I'm not saying that. Okay, cool. So, we are about prepared for that. So let's deal with the other problem we have since a while now, that is the first officer's navigation display being out. Now, we can actually see on here, there is nothing written on there at all. And this is an indication that we've actually got a display failure rather than a DMC failure. So, for the display failure, there's really not a lot that we can do. And we can head over to the FO seat for a second, try the PFD-ND switching, but as you can see, the display is simply dead. Nothing we can do about it. Maybe we can switch it off and on again. As you can see, nothing happens. So the thing is simply dead. Happens. Alright, so we're in flight level 300 now, doing Mach 0.82, that's 487 knots true airspeed. We're a little bit lower, so we're using a tad more fuel. Let's do a bit of mathematics once again. Let's exaggerate it a bit and say 2,800 kilograms per engine per hour. Times 3 means 8,400 kilograms per hour. So we've got 14,340 minus 8,200. Means we arrive at 6,140 kilograms. And we still have to keep in mind our descent, where we are going to burn a little bit less fuel. So I would say we are going to arrive in Munich with approximately 45 minutes of fuel on board. Which is alright. It's not the most fuel, but it is all we need, and the weather over there is good enough for that as well. So looking at this, light drizzle, 10 kilometers, few clouds, 1,200, broken 3,000. Nothing to worry about. Tempo 4,000 meters, light drizzle, and rain broken 1,000. That is perfect flying conditions, so nothing at all to worry about. Okay, let's open the ISCS once more. And have a quick look into the different faults that we have. So, first of all, right navigation display failure. So our analysis there was correct in that we analyzed that the display actually failed and that it was not a display computer malfunction. So let's go ahead and delete that so that we get some more interesting stuff coming. And here's running again. Okay, now this is coincidence. Fuel, wing tanks balanced. So if you look into this, they're actually about balanced again. I'll keep the transfer running until the outer tanks are actually empty. And then we are on the way again. Okay, so let's quickly clear that away. Okay, looks good. Fuel, man transfer completed. That is what I was waiting for. Outer tank transfer, auto. So, fuel, outer tank transfer, confirm? Confirmed. Auto. And with the procedure vanishing, we know that it is completed. And it says outer tank transferred down here as well. We can always have a manual look into it, so looking into the fuel page, we still got a little bit more fuel on the right hand side, which is logical, but this is all fine now the way it is. Okay. So, let's have a look into a couple more failures. We got the RMP2 failed. Yeah, who needs that at all? Let's delete the failure so that we get something a little bit more interesting back. Also, I'm going to remove the engine failure, because we are not going to attempt a restart, and that means the engine will stay shut down anyway, and it means that the airplane is going to give us a new couple of failures very shortly, I hope. This is a little bit unfortunate that we have to do it this way. Maybe I'll be doing another stream over the next couple of weeks or so, where we do the same with the A320, which can take 20 failures and not just 7. I didn't know that ahead of the stream. I thought it would just give us a new failure like every couple of minutes for the entire course of the flight, which would certainly have been a bit more interesting. But we've just reset a couple of the not so interesting stuff. And you know what? I'm actually going to fake 2 of them. So the RMP was dead and the FO's ND was dead. So I'm going to just about switch them off so that the airplane kinda still is in the condition where the failures got us. Typhoon UL, Emmanuel, Giorgio greets you. Oh, hi Giorgio, nice to see you. Was following you live, but he doesn't have a YouTube account. I always tell him that he is an Airbus pilot. Well, greetings Giorgio, nice to hear of you again. And then my Polish friend, at what circumstance would you use the QRH with the ECAM? Mostly when there is additional information in there, or when the ECAM procedure doesn't come up. An example for that would be an engine stall, which is not always immediately recognized by the ECAM. It is quite good on it, but a human pilot can sometimes recognize it faster, and therefore shut the thing down quicker, which is going to avoid the ECAM coming up. Apart from that, other things would be, for example, the non-normal summaries, like the dual hydraulic summary or the emergency ILEC summary. So those are typical QRH procedures you would use in the Airbus, rather than doing ECAM actions on them. Especially with the dual hydraulic, the ECAM gets so incredibly full with different stuff that it is just good to have that summary available. And Hakan R339 Bravo, what do you think about the new clouds in the 06 beta? I honestly tell you, well, okay, we'll deal with that in a second. I'll just finish my sentence. Honestly tell you, in some situations they look better, in others not so much. Like this over there is just completely strange. But the general overcast over here is alright. Nonetheless, the Microsoft Flight Simulator clouds still look better than the X-Plane clouds. Okay, master caution. ILEC Gen 3 fault. So, slowly things start getting interesting. Okay, so, yeah, ECAM actions. ILEC Gen 3 fault. Generator 3, off then on. Okay, ILEC, generator 3, off. Let's give it a couple of seconds. Then on. Okay. Looks like it was unsuccessful. Generator 3, off. ILEC, Gen 3, off. Clear ILEC, clear ILEC. Okay. I don't know why it's showing us the status page right now. It shouldn't. But in any case, remove status. Got generator 2 and 3 over there now. The rest is still unaffected. So if we have a look into the ILEC AC page, 2 generators gone, but you can see just about how much power the A340 has. Generator 1 running at 29%, generator 4 at 19%, and everything is still looking good. So we still have two generators available, plus the APU generator, plus the emergency generator, so it's really a no-brainer, is it? And Palam, I just found out that the Phoenix might be the only plane in Microsoft Flight Simulator where you can input custom waypoints based on coordinates. Well, you can do the same in the 737. And in the MAD Dock. And I believe in the ATR as well. Probably also in the A310. And IHS 3R, I was gone. Did we lose another engine? No, but another engine generator. And Ari Santa, actually a very impressive aircraft, this A340. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. You can see how many failures are happening, and it basically just leaves us pretty much unimpressed by now. We just continue to fly. And that is something that I noticed with the A330 as well, by the way. Even with the dual hydraulic failure and stuff like that, you know, it just keeps flying. Compared to the 737, in the Airbus, most emergencies really feel like no-brainers. Even complex stuff like a dual hydraulic failure or like an emergency electric configuration, well, it's really not too much of a problem. It's really impressive what Airbus have built there. Compared to the 737, where, you know, when you lose the hydraulics, or when you lose two of the three hydraulic systems, hydraulic A and B, then you really have to work on that control column to keep the airplane flying. On here, easy going. And Tim Cookerman, what do you think of the fly-by-wire A320 for Microsoft Flight Simulator? Any plans to feature it in a video? Well, I think it is an excellent freeware aircraft, but it's still a freeware aircraft, so it's probably the best freeware I've seen in a long time. I'm not sure if I would say it is better or worse than the Zibo, probably on par with it. Yeah, it's a cool aircraft, but I prefer the, let's call it, more complete aircraft like the Fenix for the videos on my channel. Just because the simulation is a bit deeper and stuff. For freeware, the fly-by-wire is absolutely superb, but yeah. And Tom's Travel, did you clear the Gen 2 fault, seeing as the engine is already gone? That's a good question. Let's see if we can free up space for another failure there. No. Okay. Now I did. Oh, and we just lost something. In the very same time, we got a new failure. Okay. EAS DMC3 fault. Okay, so, ecam switching, DMC1. So, that is over here, ecam switching, DMC1. Clear EIS. Clear EIS. Status. Okay, I'm not going to read out all of that, but we've got a DMC3 in up over there. Okay, remove status. Remove. Okay, ecam actions complete. And Daniel, what do I think of the Zibo? Well, a lot more than I can actually say in this video, but I've done a separate video on it where I reviewed the Zibo, so I can very much recommend to check that out. In short, it is an absolutely amazing freeware airplane. And Cuckoo, would you say trimming in the simulator is harder than in real life? And it says now a 737 because whatever I do, I either trim way too much or nothing at all when using thumb buttons. Yeah, it is easier in real life. It definitely is. In real life, you can feel the forces on your stick, which is invaluable when compared with what we have in is really invaluable when compared with what we have in the simulator and with our joysticks. And Nonam3, would you change your cruising altitude with more engine failures? Well, that depends a little bit. We already went down by 9,000 feet just because I wanted a little bit more margin on the engines. If you remember, when we flew at higher altitude, the engines were running pretty much at maximum EPR. Now, down here at lower altitude, we're flying Mach 0.82 still, which is about the same speed we did earlier, but we have a lot of performance margin left up here. And around flight level 300 or level 280 is where we're getting the highest true airspeed. So we are actually doing better performance down here than we would have done at higher altitudes. So for that reason, descending to the level we're at right now certainly was something to do. However, looking into a possible second engine failure, we might be forced to descend a bit further. Now, I don't know about the A330. Oh, sorry, I don't know about the A340. Obviously, I do know about the A330. And in the A330, if one of the two engines fails, and you're at a high gross weight, then you are going down to about flight level 230. The FMS is going to tell you, like you can see out here on the progress page, we've got the receivable max level, which has corrected itself for the engine failure. You can see it up here as well. We're in the engine out phase. And in the A330, with an engine failing, you actually get information on the performance page as well. And Adri, hi Manuel, I am a 14-year-old aviation enthusiast and my dream is becoming a pilot. Pursue it, Adri. You really got to pursue it and then you can make it. And I can really recommend you to do, because the job is just incredible. It is just incredible. And Hakan R, a live weather bug causes weird shapes such as wall clouds you recently indicated. At least it's a known issue. Yeah, that's good. If it's known, it means it's gonna get fixed. Okay, do we have any new failures in the meantime? I would somewhat expect to get something new. It doesn't look like it. Let's quickly check the TOLA screen once more. Bleed, BMC2 channel A fail. Okay, well, we're probably not even gonna get that indicated. Yep. Not even getting that indicated. So minor it is. Okay, I'm gonna delete that one again. And I'll remove the DMC3 failure as well. So that we have space for more. And the engine 3 generator I can probably remove as well because we switched it off. So now we've got a little bit more space for more failures. And Daniel, I'm just curious, and you don't have to answer, but do you speak languages other than English? Yeah, I speak German as well. Ich bin Deutsch. Also, ich spreche auch Deutsch. Learned a little bit of French in school, but let's put it that way. I'm happy with the French I know, and that's got nothing to do with the language. An AMD formula. When I first did spin training, I really learned how large the effect of the air on the flight controls are. The force is so important for understanding the aircraft behavior. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right with that. Okay, so we've slowly got Munich coming up over there, and I'm wondering why we don't have any top of descent shown. Let's have a look into that. Okay, so this does look quite alright, even though that route over here certainly doesn't. What is that drawing? Okay, well, no surprise we don't get a top of descent if it's trying to do nonsense like that. Okay, well, you know what? Then we're just about going to create a PD waypoint. So, opt/-20. Not allowed. That is something I wondered about with the with the toeless Airbuses for a while. It doesn't want to take PD waypoints. The A330 for sure does, but it doesn't matter, then we'll just do it different. So, opt/ what's the opposite? 236/20. Not allowed either. Can we go direct there? Yes, we can. Okay. Perfect, then we take this, and from there we'll go towards right onto the procedure. Why does it want to do an orbit there? Don't do an orbit, man. Okay, this is interesting line drawing over here. Let's try that once more. Let's do it this way. This is looking better. This is looking better. This is what we can fly. So where's our top of descent now? Here it is, 50 miles out. Okay, that's about better. Alright then, let's go ahead with our descent preparation. Let's see real quick. So for the nav radios, we'll take Delta Mike Sierra and Ottersberg. And I'll tune DMS on VOR2 and Ottersberg on VOR1 so that we can actually use them for navigation. And then Munich looks good for the arrival. I believe I entered everything earlier. Yes, I did. And for the acceleration after landing, we actually want to make that the MSA, so 3,700. And the engine out acceleration 3,700 as well. Okay, cool. So that's good, that's good. The secondary we prepared already for runway 08 left, that is alright. Okay, and then let's have another quick look into the performance. So that computation actually looks good to me, so it's gonna be braking mode low, like so. Alright, perfect. Then are you ready for the approach briefing? I'm always ready for the approach briefing. Okay, so PM starts this one. MSA for the arrival, 3,700. It's gonna be radar vectors for an ILS approach 08 right with a minimum of 1686. Go around trajectory straight at 1DME Delta Mike Sierra or 1900, whichever is later right turn to Ottersberg to pick up the hold over there. Extra fuel and time, well, it stopped calculating, but looking at something like 20 minutes extra fuel. Okay, so guidance for the approach is going to be localizer and glide slope. Landing flaps 3, stop margin is about 1,544 meters. Reverser will be used on the engines where we have them available, and auto brakes low. Planned runway exit is going to be probably the second high speed to the left, but let's have a very quick look into that. Yeah, here it is. So we're going to vacate Bravo 12 and then taxi probably somewhere on the outside positions over here, so that maintenance can get hold of the plane as quickly as possible. Okay, special operations and non-standard operations. Yeah. Non-standard, certainly the engine failure, and, well, we still have 3 engines left, so it's really pretty much of a non-event for us. We still meet all the performance criteria. We might get a little bit of a turn to the left when we, a turn to the right when we activate the high end thrust reversers. Okay, what is that? Hydraulic, green engine 4 pump, low pressure. Okay, that's down here, low pressure, and that's up here. Okay, cool. Then, plane keeps flying, ECAM actions. Hydraulic, green engine 4 pump, low pressure. Green engine 4 pump, off. So, confirm. Green engine 4 pump confirmed. Off. Okay, clear hydraulics. Clear hydraulics. Then land ace up in amber. So over here we've lost the right side of the green system. Not too much a problem. We still have the left side, so the engine number 1 supplying the green system. So for now it's all still covered. Okay, clear hydraulic. Clear. Flight controls. So we lost 2 spoilers per wing and still have the Prim 1 in up. Clear flight controls. Clear flight controls. Wheel page, again, just 2 spoilers. Clear wheel. Clear wheel. Status. Let's see if there's anything new. For landing, use flap 3, land distance procedure apply, fuel ambulance monitor. Sled slow. Okay, that is known already. Cat 3 single only. In-op systems, blue hydraulic partial spoilers, reverse 2. IR1, Cat 3 dual, engine 2 bleed, blue engine 4 pump, green engine 4, blue engine 2 pump, green engine 4 pump, generator 2 and 3, Prim 1, alternate brakes, GPWS terrain. Okay, remove status, remove status. ECAM actions complete. Okay, so known M3, would the 2 lost spoilers have any great effect? No, not really. If it's just 2, doesn't have too much of an effect really. You can somewhat feel it a bit, but that's it. Okay, we got erupted in the arrival briefing, but I don't think there is a lot more to say anyway. Any questions? No? Okay. Tom's Travel, could you turn on engine 2 elec pump as the pressure will drop as you get slower? Theoretically yes, but the pump in the long-haul Airbus, the electric pump, is not built to run continuously, so it is going to overheat rather quickly. Instead, it's only used when you've got an engine failure on takeoff and you need to move your slats and flaps. But apart from that, we wouldn't really use the electric pump of the Blue system. Same goes for the other electric pumps, by the way. They are not designed for continuous operation, but rather just for temporary operation. Okay. So we're about to reach our top of descent. Funny, by the way, that it doesn't calculate it here. I believe in the tow list we actually need to clear the engine out so that we get predictions again. Yeah, here they are. It's funny. That's obviously not how it would work in the real plane, but that's fine. Okay, let's start the descent. Descent, alt flattle 200 blue. What speed do we have in here? 7.7 or 3.11? You know what, then let's transition to 3.11 straight away. Looks good. Thrust descent. Hyperion, what field of view are you using? I've zoomed out as much as possible. But keep in mind, I'm using a 42-inch monitor, so while that field of view is rather realistic for my size of the monitor, it may not necessarily be so for smaller screens. And AMD formula, what if your hand slipped and you accidentally turned off all the FACs and LX? Well, I can show you what's going to happen then. So, in the 340s we don't have FACs, that's A320 stuff. We just have the prims and the SACs. But this is what's going to happen if we do that. So, prim 2 off, prim 3 off. This is going to kill the autopilot now. Come on. Here we go, autopilot off. Okay, so loads of messages. Let's clear that shit for now. Alright, so now we are flying in direct law. And if we turn the SACs off as well, let's go ahead and do that. Then you can see, still flying in direct law. However, now we're down to mechanical backup. So now we've really got to use the trim in order to fly the plane, as you can see, like that, and the rudder in order to bank it. So I'm using a little bit of rudder right now. You can see the plane slowly starts to roll into the bank, and that is what happens if you turn all the computers off. Okay, so let's turn them back on again, though. And here we go. Takes the computers a little bit to recover. So let's give them that time. Come on, computers, you can do it. It should go back into normal law. Yeah, they're all working again. Okay, I've got no idea why this is staying in direct law now. This is certainly not supposed to happen. It should go into normal law. Okay, let's turn Prim 1 on again. That one failed earlier, but I just want to see if I can trick the airplane back into normal law. Because it shouldn't stay in direct law. When you turn the prims off and on again, you can force it into direct, but once you turn them back on, they are going to... It's going to bring the airplane back into normal law. Let's see if we can trick it a bit. Or maybe we can use the computer reset table for that for once. So let me quickly trim the airplane out. And Tom's Trouble, clear the prim failure. Yeah, it's just a single one. We still have 2 available. So prim 2 and 3 should be able to take over. But I just want to use the opportunity to try something. So let's go all the way to the system reset table up here. And let's see if we can find something. Probably not. No, indeed. We can't reset the prims from here, it seems. Which seems logical since we've got the switches, but this is not quite the correct behavior right now. But let's go ahead and try something. Now I'm going to clear the prim 1 fault indeed. And see if the thing can recover using prim 1. Would be a little bit nasty if I had to hand fly for the rest of the flight. Especially so because in real life the thing wouldn't have that. Let's try to reset prim 1. Okay, well that's funny. You can see all the 3 prims and the 2 SACs are working again. See that down here on the flight control page. And the thing still remains in direct law. That should certainly not happen. So yeah, there's probably something wrong with the... there's probably something wrong somewhere here in the toeless Airbus. And AMD formula, so does this not have alternate law? Yes, it does. Indeed, it has 2 different alternate laws. The A330 and A340. It has got alternate 1 and alternate 2. And which one you get depends on the amount of protections that are still available and on the amount of system malfunctions. Okay, well, in that case, we've got to continue in direct law. So Cornelius, re-engage autopilot. That doesn't work while the airplane is in direct law. Let's think about it. Is there anything we forgot? Like, it shouldn't be. It's just turn the prims off, you're in direct law, turn them back on, you are back in normal law. Let's try once more. Okay, now they're all off. And now they're all on. Oh, and it looks like we have another failure, because our map is gone. Set offside range or mode. Okay, that could be a partial FCU fault. Yeah, probably is. No, it's an FM fault. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, thrust lock, auto thrust is gone. Let's see, can we get that back? Yes, we can. Okay. Okay, well, now things are turning a bit more interesting. Now things are definitely becoming a bit more interesting. Okay, so set offside range and mode. So we've got arc 40 airport, arc 40 airport. Okay, not 100% sure why it's doing this. Because it doesn't give us any ECAM alert, which it normally should do. Well. Okay, that looks better. So I believe the emergency cancel previously removed all of that. So, let's see, engine 2 failed, is gone. Let's quickly hold the recall. Okay, so engine 2 fail is done. Flight controls, direct law, protection lost. Yeah, that is expected. Okay, so speed alt star. Interesting. We have flight director available, but no autopilot. Alt, Okay. So this is more interesting. This is where you would need a second pilot. So, flight controls, direct law. Speed brake do not use. Maximum speed 305 knots or Mach 0.80. Trim for neutral elevator. We did that. And maneuver with care. Clear flight controls? Clear flight controls. Oh yeah, now we've got a lot of failures. Okay. Fuel, wing tanks balanced. Clear fuel, clear fuel. Engine 2 shutdown. Fuel imbalance, monitor. Okay, we are doing that, are we? Yes, we certainly are. Okay, clear engine 2, clear engine 2. So, nav, IR1 fault. Clear nav, clear nav. ELEC Gen 2 fault. Clear ELEC. ELEC Gen 3 fault. Clear ELEC. Air, abnormal bleed config. Clear air, hydraulic. Green engine 4 pump, low pressure. Clear hydraulic, clear hydraulic. Okay, here it is. Autoflight, FM1 fault. FM source, both on 2. So, FM source, both on 2. That looks better. Let's see if we've got an autopilot available now. No. Okay. Clear autoflight, clear autoflight. Fuel, main pump 3 fault. Main 3, off. Okay, fuel, main pump 3, off. And you can see the standby pump has taken over down there. Perfect. Okay, clear fuel, clear fuel. Condition, 1 cabin fan fault. Okay, we've got 2 others. Clear condition, clear. Status. Okay, so we've got a little bit more in there now. But before we do that, let's worry a little bit about actually flying the airplane. And Maurits, why wouldn't you want to follow the lateral guides of the flight director as it's still a nav? Honestly, I'd rather not. In this situation, since I don't know where the flight director is guiding me, I can't confirm that it actually works. So in that situation, I rather ask for radar vectors from ATC. In our case now, let's go direct to Maisach. Let's see if we can make it. So speed brake do not use. That means we will need some extra miles. So let's go down to 70. Thrust idle, descent alt, flight level 70 blue. Then we can manage the speed. This is funny. Manage speed into the red zone. Not supposed to happen. Okay, so let's enter a quick holding over Maisach so that we can do a round over there. Okay. We will need that time in the holding to lose a little bit of altitude, because you know, this was one of the classical situations where you would need a second pilot so that you can work on that. And Tom's Travel, you're absolutely right, I can reset the FM and FMGC, and that is actually something now that we've reached the status page and now that we've got the airplane flying, we are going to do. Okay, so for that we go into the QRH, abnormal, and then system reset table. And then we look for auto flight, and down there we should somewhere have FMGC and FM. Okay, so on the ground or in flight? This is funny, having to switch the range on the left side through the EFIS control panel on the right side. But as long as it works, I am happy with it. Okay, let's start reducing speed a little bit as well. So right now, if my flying looks a little bit all over the place, then don't be surprised about that. That really comes down to, you know, flying the airplane at the same time and reading the QRH, and so on. Okay, so let's continue with the reset procedure. FMGC reset results in on-site autopilot disconnection. Resynchronization of both FMs will occur after reset sequence with please wait message on the MCDU and map not avail on the ND. Caution, do not use the FM reset button. Okay. If FMGC 1 or FM1 affected, that is the case. So FMGC 1 reset button, pull, wait 1 second, and then push in again, and then wait to the end of the reset. Okay, so let's quickly trim the airplane out. Pretty much like so. Okay then. So, should be up here. Yep, here it is. FMGC 1 reset button. Pull. Wait a second. And just to confirm that I actually pulled it, here is the white part. And push in again. Okay, wait end of reset. So normally it should show me something on air. Not sure why it doesn't in this one. And AMD formula, are you manually trimming right now? Yes, I am. So now it really flies just like a 737. Okay, cool. Let's try FM norm. No, reset didn't work. Can see it on here as well. Okay. So the reset was unsuccessful. Okay, so that is pretty much all we can do on here. Okay, cool. Then let's go ahead and continue descent to 5000. Set QNH 1007. Passing 9800 now. Checked. So this is really where you need two pilots, so my manual flying isn't all that good right now. My apologies for that. You guys know the thing. Okay, entering a little bit of rain over here. Temperature 9, engine anti-ice on. Also, we've passed 10,000, so landing lights on, seatbelts on, constraints on, LS on. So, we still have GPS primary, high accuracy, and the engine start selector is in ignition. Perfect. Okay. So, once we are inbound to Maisach again, we should be able to leave the hold and should be more or less on profile. 3,000 feet to lose in an A340 takes like... yeah. The thing descends at about 1,000 feet a minute when you're stabilized, so... or make it 1,200. And Cornelius Nimbus, and yeah, it's on for number 2 as well. Yeah, it's not gonna do anything, because the valve is inhibited. It's not gonna do anything, and, you know, before I forget to press the right button, or before I accidentally press the wrong button, I should rather say, I'd rather just switch it on for number 2 as well. It's not gonna do anything, but it's not gonna do any damage as well. Okay, so I'm somewhat waiting to finish the turn right now so that I get a free hand in order to grab the approach checklist. But, yeah. Again, this is why it's a two-pilot airplane. Okay, we're approaching the VDEF dot over there. So we're pretty much back on profile now. Also, our speed is quite low already. The airplane has activated the approach phase, even though I'm not sure why it did that, but it did it. Or at least the target speed became the approach. No, actually approach phase is active. I've sometimes seen the Tollers do a bit of funny stuff there as well, but I suppose if everything worked 100% as in the full flight simulator, this wouldn't cost like $100, but like more like $100,000. So those little deviations are quite fine. Okay, that's less than 1,000 to run. By the way, something I really love. Let me level the plane out now, and then I'll completely let go of the stick. And you will notice that it has a tendency to start drifting to one side. Speed Alt Star. And those drifts are actually something that the full flight simulator shows as well. I hope that I'll never have to find out if the real airplane does it, but when you're flying in direct law, the airplane just constantly keeps drifting to one side in the full flight sim, which is quite a funny thing. And Sirius, that also counts for Phoenix though, you have been quite critical towards them. Yeah, it does also count for Phoenix. The only difference is, contrary to Phoenix, Tolis does not claim like, oh, we use stuff that's certified for real operation and so. Phoenix does claim that, so that's what I measure it against. Okay, so let's arm the exit off the hold, and then we continue on to the ILS. And to be fair, regarding Phoenix, I can expect any airplane to be able to land itself halfway decently. And, I mean, I've been there in other betas that I worked with. You know, developers fix one thing that then works correctly, like, for example, the flare logic of the computer. But then something else interferes with that logic, and the overall result is that you are not getting a good feeling of the flight. And I believe that is safe to say on the Phoenix at the moment, that it just does not feel right. So, even though the flare logic might be correct now, if it doesn't feel right, then I don't care if the logic of that computer is correct, if something else method is, if another bug method is over, you know? Okay, so... Flight slope, localizer blue, heading, Cat 1. Flaps 1. Speed checked, flaps 1. So let's remove that status page down there, but let's quickly check if we really did everything. So speed brake do not use, maximum speed 305, maneuver with care, that is what we do. Approach procedure, for landing use flaps 3, land distance procedure apply, man pitch trim use, fuel imbalance monitor, lock star, glide slope alive, flaps 2, speed check, flaps 2. Okay, slats are slow, but as you can see they are going quite well. Glide slope star. And the in-op systems, I'm not even gonna go over all of those. Oh man, I lost quite a bit of my pitch authority just now. Trimming, trimming, trimming. Okay, now that's better. Now it's better. Man, those flaps 2 really had a lot of a trim effect there. I didn't remember it being that bad from the sim, but probably is. Might be different between the 330 and 340 as well. Okay, remove status. And Daniel, did I experience those failures in real life before? No, I absolutely didn't. I did have a couple on the Airbuses I flew so far. Especially the packs and the bleeds seem to be a little bit susceptible at the moment to failing, but then you just reset the computer and they work again. Okay, so, established. But you know what, with direct law I'm just about going to lower the landing gear now. That was an interesting sound. Okay, flaps 3. Speed check, flaps 3. Let's stabilize the plane. I need quite a bit of left stick input right now in order to keep the plane flying. That is quite surprising. Okay, well... Phew, interesting. Well, let's quickly do this. And what's the... Oh. Man, is that thing descending quickly. Yeah, this is where I'd really need a second pilot now. 11 degrees. We could turn the anti-ice off, but I suppose we just keep it flying by now and don't care with the rest. So let's just focus on landing it now, and I'm not gonna care about the entire rest. Okay. Cabin. Get ready. Get ready. Now they are. Perfect. Okay, so landing checklist. Econ memo, landing no blue. Landing checklist complete. Visibility isn't that great today, but it's totally fine for flying. Come on, Sim, what are you doing? I don't know why it is. When I'm approaching Munich, the Sim always tends to get those massive stutters on the approach. And then it gets out and time accelerates a little bit to get me back in a position. I really have no idea why it's doing that, but sometimes X-Plane is just strange. I have a feeling next time we're doing something like this, we're either going to do it with the Total 320, but somewhere at a default airport, where we don't have those stutter problems, or we're going to do it with a Phoenix, if it supports a feature like that. Okay, so... that's the runway 12 o'clock.
500. 100 above.
Checked.
300. Minimum.
Continue.
200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. Restart. 10. 5.
Spoilers, reverse green. Auto brake turned itself off. Let's flick that on again. Decel. As you can see, a little bit of a directional control issues there, but not too much. Manual brakes, and we are going to vacate to the left over here. Alright, so back in Munich. Let's vacate the runway, stop the airplane clear of the taxiway, and then we're going to stop the plane for a second, evaluate the situation, and then see if we can taxi to the gate or not. So, let's go just about over here, thank you. Should hopefully be completely clear of the runway by now. It's just such a large airplane, let's see that. Yeah, just about clear of the runway. Wow. You could fit two 737s over there, that's for sure. Okay, parking brake set, let's do the after landing items. Okay, so that thing over here can go out as well, and then I am just about going to start the APU. And we don't need the anti-ice anymore. Alright, cool. So, let's have a quick look if there is anything that would prevent us from taxiing. So we've got reverse number 2, 1 cabin fan, IR1, FM1, green engine 4 pump, generator 2 and 3 GPWS terrain. Okay, perfect. So we can taxi the airplane. Then let's go ahead and bring it all the way to the gate. And Konali, you're absolutely right. It indeed once was the longest passenger plane in the world. It's only been beaten, as you say, by the 747-8 and the 777-9. Even though, is the latter flying already? The 777-9? I don't think it is it? Alright, so runway is vacated after landing checklist. Radar and predictive wind shear off. After landing checklist complete. Alright guys, so let's bring it all the way to the gate and then we're done for the day. Ooh, that was a bit early. Well, let's make use of the taxi camera again. See that? How we got very close to the runway edge there. Even though from the flight deck it really didn't look that bad. It's just a huge airplane, isn't it? And just look at the list over here on the memo display. Quite incredible, isn't it? No Name 3, you name it, man. Maintenance is going to be mad. But Thomas, as you say, at least the wipers are working, and that's the important thing over here. Alright, cool. So, do let me know, guys, if you're interested in doing streams like this again in the future. It surely was a lot of fun, but I'm wondering what it was actually like for you guys. For sure there were a couple names that I saw that have been here from pretty much the very beginning onwards. So if you've been here for the entire stream, do let me know, because I want to be able to make a little bit of a judgment on how interesting this kind of stuff actually is for you guys. So do let me know. Okay, so we are like almost on the center line. And Joash Naidu, I suppose this is a new EBT principle for training. Well done. Well, first of all, thank you. And indeed, it goes into the direction, doesn't it? Oh, look at that. Look at that. Looks like the taxi camera has some problems with the bridge over here. Well, from the outside, everything is fine, though. Man, huge airplane. I really hope to be able to catch a slot for the Cross the Pond this time, so that I can fly the 340 over. That'd be really interesting, even though I'm not 100% sure that I'm actually going to have off around that time. But we'll see about it. Okay then, let's turn into the gate. It's just an incredible oversteering, isn't it? Man. Lovely airplane. Okay, lights off, bleed is on. Okay, let's park it properly. Taxi cam is my friend. Or so I thought. Well, we'll stay about here. We will just about stay here. Okay. So, brake is set, then. I don't think maintenance needs any running engines, all the faults should be stored in the system, so let's go ahead and shut this down. 1, 3, 4. I was kind of waiting for a couple more flickers of the lights of those generators coming offline, then I remembered, oh, we only had 2 of them. Okay, condition, 1 cabin fan fault, yeah, thanks, clear. We had that one, we dealt with it. Okay, cabin crew, all doors in park. So, those go off. Alright, and that is about it. The doors are disarmed, so seat belts go off. Transponder goes off, and that's the parking checklist. Parking brake trucks, brake set, engines off, wing light off, fuel pumps off, or broken. Parking checklist complete. Alright guys, so that is about it for today. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you found this one interesting. If you did, do let me know in the comments below. I'm very much looking forward to your feedback, and if I am supposed to do something like that again, I certainly will consider it if you guys like it, so do put it in the comments below. In the meantime, I did see somebody ask if I could do a replay. Now, to be fair with you, I have no clue how that even works in X-Plane, so yeah, I just can't tell you. Can we do that somewhere over here? For sure somebody of you is going to know how to run the replay. Oh, toggle replay mode. That looks about right. And now it hung itself up. Come on, Sim. Now it's frozen. Any of you have some experience with it freezing up? Probably not then. Well, okay. And X-Plane crashed to desktop. Alright, so that is going to be it then. In any case, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I am looking forward to see you all again on the next one. And in the meantime, enjoy your flights, and I see you all again. Well, there will be a couple of videos over the next days, but in the meantime, I would say there will be a couple more videos, and then I see you all again with a live stream, hopefully mid next month. That is probably the earliest my roster is going to allow. But in the meantime, thank you very much, and I see you all again very, very soon.